two people get there at the same time, that's fun.
You can make a little line if you want.
Good afternoon, this is all of you. I'm sort of dating myself, but Boris Vallejo, he was one of the greatest painters of sci-fi and a sci-fi illustrator. And were any of you inspired by his work? I mean, he's 82 years old right now. I just looked up, I didn't know he was still alive. Like, God bless him though, you know, but how was his inspiration? Has that worn off on any of you folks?
I loved this stuff when I was younger, and I just thought it was amazing. And you know, I had art friends who were like, you know, Vallejo or Frazetta, pick a side, you know. It's like a Bible tract, you know, dick or the cross, you decide, gay, you know. And it was like, okay, whatever, I'll pick one, you know. And I picked Vallejo, and nowadays I feel like I was so wrong. I look back on a lifetime when I could have been learning from Frank Frazetta for all these years, and only now am I appreciating his genius. So yeah, Vallejo's great.
Okay, for those of you guys that's working on existing IPs is easier, is it because you're like replicating something that's very well known, or is it because you're taking the character and making it in your style?
I would say that for me it's the second thing you said. It's like, I think it's you're standing on another great person's shoulders, and you know, that's how we sort of like, you know, progress as people and civilizations. We take what's been going before and make it a little better, we go a little further. So for me personally, that's, you know, it's yes. For God's sake, somebody else talk.
Just real quick, I was going to talk about the topic of influence, because anyone that knows me knows, so George Perez was my primary influence. And the interesting thing, the difference between like me and Travis was that I wanted to draw like George Perez. It was actually it wasn't just that I liked being a cheap copy, it was that in my head, I believed I was carrying on a tradition. I actually want to see more work like his done in comics. The funny thing is, of course, George never asked me to do this. He's not polite enough to let me. But it was actually a very deliberate decision, not just because I thought it would get me work, but because in my head, I didn't mind being this clone because I was thinking of the most high-minded version. I was thinking like the Renaissance traditions of sort of great masters having young apprentices who would work like them and eventually evolve. And I just really liked that. I was sort of happy and proud to carry on a way of working that I don't believe would have survived in that incarnation otherwise. Again, a lot of ego in that. And George was really nice to let me do it and build a career on it. But it was a very deliberate choice. And to work on characters that we sort of established and continue like that tradition.
When your inspiration ever runs dry, where are your favorite places to draw? Reference, whether that's anatomy, lighting, or like the setup of an image. Like, where are your favorite places to draw inspiration?
For me, it's my art heroes. Whenever I'm running cold, I run back to the well. And what a terrible mixed metaphor. I suck. Whenever I'm running dry, I run back to the well. And I go to my bookshelf. I have one special bookshelf in my studio that is just all artists who've inspired me, or new artists who I've just learned to love. And when I'm sitting there going, I got nothing, I'll sit there and go, talk to me, Linedecker, or hey, Norman Rockwell, or hey, Travis, Charist, or whoever I have either been inspired or threatened by. Travis, I've always been threatened by Travis. I'm glad he's getting older because he's too good looking. I did a tour with him in Europe, and I was just like, oh my God, stop standing next to me in photo ops. I go to my heroes, and they rescue me.
I just don't draw. At 11 o'clock, I stop and go on a walk and play guitar, and then hold it the next day's better. I wish it was better there.
That works.
So I think I do the opposite as well. I think like drawing something is better than drawing nothing. So I'll get my iPad and just scribble, and it's not. I know it's not going to be what it ends up being, but at least I've had a go, and then something might come out of it as well.
Spoken like a young person. Who still has hopes and dreams.
You know what I will do sometimes if I'm really stuck? I don't often draw from reference, but I will actively draw from reference, usually on the weekend, and maybe for like a half hour or something. Sometimes that'll get me out of it, but that's 50-50 shot.
I'll just draw something that I know I can nail. Like the same side face, I'm like, I got this one. Everything else sucked today, but I got this.
That's a good one too.
We have about a minute left, just so you guys know.
I'll try to make this quick. So my question for you guys is, for new artists coming up on the scene, what would be your guys' advice for them to take that first step towards this industry?
Don't do it. We don't need the competition. I'm tired of looking at Instagram and seeing really good artists. And I'm still in college.
It's debilitating.
Yeah.
It's really debilitating.
They've got 300,000 followers. I'm a senior in so-and-so.
Dude, it's a hard journey, and there's no easy answer. I think that it kind of goes back to the talent and skill kind of conversation. It's a bit more. When I started and I was trying to break in, it felt like the journey was like outside of myself. And if I had any kind of esoteric advice, it's kind of frou-frou, I would say it kind of takes a look inward and figuring out who you are as a person in a way and what drives you, and and keeping it fun. Because there's a million ways to get to the same place. Yeah. I have one way. We all have a different story.
So on a practical level for mainstream superhero comics, if that's our interest, I would have a portfolio ready between 5 and 10 pages, showcasing narrative skills, and particularly the sort of tool that you want to work with, penciling, inking, both. If you want to show both, and make sure you have multiple samples of each. If you're going to pursue work, you need to know editors, you need to know the people who can buy your work and pay you for it. So in convention spaces, seek them out or online, knowing that they get submissions all the time. And so the best way to reach out is also to know a little something about that editor, to make it at least a little more friendly, and also find out how they like receiving portfolios. Some of them want to go to websites, some want PDFs, some want your Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. So know a little bit about who you're targeting, but again, having 5 to 10 pages of narrative in the way that you want to work. Probably best to work from sample script and not your own. Make sure that the work is readable without words, you're not balloon it, and particularly focus on scenes, and you still hear it a lot, that showcase things that are not super, that are decidedly mundane, because they're going to see that you can do all that stuff too.
Pizza boxes.
Lots of people.
All right, one last question.
If you like cartoons, movies, books, music, I demand you subscribe to this channel. Subscribe, be prepared. Subscribe or be prepared for doom. Do not resist. Do not resist. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.